This is Remix Report with your hosts, DJ JD and DJ J Spring.
Today's video brought to you by YourDJDrops.com, the nation's hottest DJ drops.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Remix Report. It's another weekend recap. I'm DJ JD.
I'm DJ J Spring, and today we're going to start off how we always start off, talking about our weekends. Then we have some other stuff to get into. We've gotten some emails lately that we'll address. Nothing bad. Just answer some of your questions. And I guess you have some new tech news to speak on a couple things, I guess.
Yeah, some new gear coming out.
But like I said, we'll start talking about our weekends. So how was your weekend?
I had a great weekend, actually. I had one of my last weddings of the season on Friday night. Pretty much my last wedding of the season. I have one last wedding December 29th, but I don't really count that in the wedding season. That's pretty much
A random
out of wedding season by then. It was at the Society Room in Hartford. Really nice venue. It's the old bank that they turned into banquet hall, basically. So it's got really high ceilings, all like old stone, marble, all that kind of stuff. Really nice place. So I did uplighting and had a couple remote speakers set up, and everything worked out really well. It was a great party, and the bride and groom and family were awesome. And yeah, had a great time. So, see, Saturday I was at Whiskey Republic in Providence again. Kind of there every other month or so, and that's always a great time too. Really open format spot. Again, they definitely, a lot like Scorpion Bar in a lot of ways. They definitely like the rock influence. And it's really fun open format crowd there. They have a really cool confetti machine that I like to use over there too. And then Sunday night I was at Shrine, and it was actually a pretty busy night at Shrine. There were probably, say, close to 100 people there on a Sunday, which is pretty good for
Sundays
Sunday.
aren't a club night at Shrine. In other words, we don't have our full staff in force, and we don't have VIP unless someone wants to buy one and they come up to us asking for it.
Yeah, Sunday's not a promoted night. It's just kind of there, and we're there in case people show up and want to party. We're there to party with them. So
I always wondered, would they even want us to promote it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think.
I think they're cool, obviously, with us saying that we're going to be there and stuff, but I don't even know if they necessarily want us making an effort to. Because, I mean, there's only so many nights you can promote at a club.
It's true. Yeah, if you're trying to promote 7 nights a week at a club, then some of your nights are going to suffer. Yeah. So, yeah, it's probably better not to promote every single night. Yeah. But, yeah, it ended up being a great night. I mean, I think earlier in the day it was really slow all the way up until about 10:30, and then all of a sudden around 10:30, just all these groups of people came in out of nowhere. And that's how Sundays are. It's either do or die, It's like everybody's there or nobody's there, and everybody was there on Sunday, so
it's good.
Definitely a good time. How was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good.
I heard. I even got sent a picture of DJ J Spring on Friday night.
Really?
I did.
I didn't see this picture.
Well, while you explain your night, I'll see if I can pull it up.
Well, it wasn't necessarily as bad. There's nothing to be embarrassed about on my part, necessarily. You said I was dancing around the club.
That's what I heard.
No. I remember.
J Spring doesn't dance.
No, I remember everything that happened this night, and I definitely was not dancing. I can tell you that much.
J Spring looks a little beat on the couch over there.
Did you see this picture? I didn't even see this.
Leaning on the couch after a long night.
I was tired. But anyway,
been there, done that.
Here's what happened though: is there's more to the story than just me drinking.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
No, Thursday and Friday. This is like a whole nother topic. I've actually been on a different sleep schedule lately. Earlier, usually I go to bed very late at like 7 or even 8 sometimes. Sometimes even later than that, depending if I'm watching a TV show. Like when I was watching Sons of Anarchy, my life was literally just anarchy.
Oh, you're all caught up now?
Yeah, I didn't have a bedtime at all. So I've been going to bed lately at like 2 or 3, which is still late for most humans, but for me it's kind of early. And Thursday and Friday, I was just tired during the nights. When I was DJing, I played pretty awful on both nights too. I opened up Friday for Carlos Milan. Shout out to Carlos. And like literally when I got done, I got off on Friday. When he got on, I walked around to go get my first drink, and I literally could not keep my eyes open in the club as I was walking around. So that picture, I definitely was drunk. It was probably a combination of me being drunk and me being really tired.
Those are two things that don't mix well together.
No. And it didn't end well that night either. I had to clean up my car the next day.
That's not good.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was my Friday night. Saturday, I was at Scorpion Bar, and it was packed, and it was awesome, like how every Saturday is there. And a lot of people bumping into my booth on Saturday, which is how it is when it's busy like that. I've kind of gotten used to it. I mean, what kind of bugs me about it is when you hear, like, if someone bumps into it real quick, it skips for a second. Like, I don't put every song onto internal mode after I'm done playing. That's kind of ridiculous to have to do. And I always hear, sometimes I'll hear people, like a bartender be like, what happened? Like, I heard the music go out for a couple seconds or something, and I think everyone just assumes it's my fault, and it's not always my fault. I take full responsibility when I do fuck up. I just don't want to have to take responsibility when it's not my fault.
Yeah, 99% of the time there at Scorpion Bar, it's not your fault. It's because someone either is bumping the DJ booth, or is putting a drink on your turntable,
Yeah.
or is putting their hand on the record.
It's very cool being in the middle of the crowd like that. I do enjoy it, but there's that negative side to that, which you kind of have to put up with. Like, there's times when literally I'll just put my hands in the air like, whoa, as someone is moving my booth back like 3 feet.
Well, yeah, they'll start grinding. Like, a guy and girl will start grinding on the booth, and it's like, bam, and then not only does the booth move, but that rips the power cord out of the outlet in the ground.
Yeah.
And then you're screwed two ways. So
Yeah, there's I mean, I've been through it many times at Scorpion Bar, and it's something I'm kind of used to now, although it still sucks, and I still yell at people.
I'm kind of surprised you haven't lost a laptop yet.
I've had people bump into the laptop before, but it's not like
No
it's kinda,
drink spilled on it yet, though, really.
No. I mean,
It's kind of amazing, honestly.
it's kind of, that would kind of be harder for people to do, I think, at Scorpion, because it's kind of raised. It's at like their head level. It's not like the level that they want to put their drinks at.
Yeah.
I mean, I have plenty of people hit their head on my laptop stand, and sometimes what happens is the laptop stand is kind of sticking out a little bit, so if someone pushes it in towards me, I'll wait a little bit until they get real comfortable and they're still leaning against it, and then I'll just take my hand, I'll just push it back, and I'll hit them in the head, which they deserve.
I didn't want to know that.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was my my
Tools of the trade.
Yeah, I still think we should put barbed wire around the DJ booth.
Razor wire?
Yes, please.
That would be interesting.
I think that would.
I wonder how people would react to that.
I think that'd be very effective.
All right, well, let's move on to some DJ news. Another update from Pioneer. Lots of Pioneer news lately. They just released the DJM 2000 Nexus. Nexus is the big thing now with Pioneer. So their 2000 mixer has a little touch screen on it. It's 4 channels, has extra effects. This one now has, instead of one Ethernet jack like the DJM 900 has on it, this one has 2 Ethernet jacks, which allows you to connect 2 computers to it, running Rekordbox. Couple other new features is the new beat slicing feature, which is using the touch screen. You can actually has like a grid on it that you can touch to chop up the beats. You can also set your sync master. Now that all the Nexus series stuff has sync, you can set the master tempo directly from the mixer, and all 4 of your CDJs possibly that you have hooked up will all sync to that master tempo set on the mixer, which is interesting. More quantized beat effects and a live sampler. So those are the new features there. Definitely pretty cool mixer. Pretty expensive also. So if you got money, might be the way to go. But the 900 is still the standard. Let's see, a couple other things here. Tractor just released some their first remix set for the Tractor F1 controller. They released this on Beatport, and I imagine they're going to be doing some more releases like this. The remix set is $5. It's for the track. What track is it for?
I don't know if I've ever heard
Mandy,
this
I want to
track.
say it was called.
Mandy Moore?
Ooh, Mandy Moore. I don't think Mandy Moore. No, it's Mandy by Twisted Sister.
Okay.
I guess. Interesting choice.
Very interesting.
So I imagine they'll probably be releasing a lot more remix sets like
Maybe
this.
even some songs that you've heard of before.
Hopefully. To kind of spice up your sets. Swedish House Mafia announced their final tour dates for their one last tour, and those 2 dates are during Winter Music Conference in Miami. Those are going to be March 15th, which is the first day of the entire Ultra Music Festival, actually, not which Winter Music Conference is during. So they're opening Ultra and they're closing Ultra on the 24th. So if you want to be at one of those last shows, that's where you got to go. And I'm sure it's not going to be cheap.
No. Speaking of EDM, we want to give a shout out to a few of our friends who came out with some releases recently. First of all, Disco Fries featuring Niles Mason, who's the voice of Louder Than Words.
Yep.
Is it? Song's called Don't Let Me Down.
He's
So
a great vocalist, too.
That's the latest from the Disco Fries. Also, DJ Sprite just came out with his track YOLO, which I think has been out or around for a little while, but it just came out on Beatport via DJ Superseed's label.
Lincoln Road Records.
Right, and also want to give a shout out as well to DJ Loki, who just came out with his latest release called Trepidation. So a few of our friends doing some original productions.
Yeah, it's good to see. Very good to see. We got a couple things coming to you from DJTechTools.com. First, they did a review of the new Serato DJ software. A little recap of this. Some of the good things they found were you can have 4 mixing decks plus the SP6 sampler. There's some new effects from Isotope, which is great. MIDI mapping for a secondary controller on top of whatever controller you're using is allowed. Serato video support, definitely good. Some of the stuff they didn't like is Serato DJ is still tied only to approved hardware, and not as many effects choices as Tractor. And I'm not really sure the still tied to approved hardware is really anything to complain about. I mean, Tractor is tied to their hardware too, and pretty much every software is tied to some specific hardware, so that's kind of par for the course. And pretty much all the old itch hardware will end up being compatible at some point. It's just a matter of time for them to write all the code to make that happen. So definitely looks good. I mean, as far as you get 8 cue points and 8 loops per track and like some really cool stuff. So Serato DJ looking pretty good.
Did you know why they called it Itch? I don't know if you knew this, but it was like Serato Scratch Live, so they called this one Itch. Just thought I'd share that with you in case you were wondering.
Hey, glad I found that out finally.
No problem.
Let's see, another thing over at DJ Tech Tools, they did a review of a new software called Pulse Locker. This is a Mac-only program for now, but will hopefully be coming out on Windows also. This is almost like, well, they label it as try before you buy for DJs. So a lot of people use programs like Spotify or RDO, where they're music streaming services, where you don't actually have a physical MP3 copy of a song. You just listen to it on your computer through the internet. It's totally streaming. So these programs are great for the music listener, not so good for DJs because we don't get to actually keep those MP3s and use them in our DJ software. So Pulse Locker is a subscription service that allows you to preview full songs, even bring them into your DJ software to try them out. They are DRM'd. This Pulse Locker program has to be open while you test the tracks in your DJ software. As soon as Pulse Locker is closed, those files can no longer be played.
I saw the way they were advertising it. I didn't read the whole thing, but at the beginning it caught my attention because they said our DJ's tired of like buying a song, knowing you're only going to play it once for one specific gig, or use it in like you don't like the way it sounds because you didn't know it had that kind of intro or something. So it did catch my attention at first.
Yeah, like on Beatport, you only get what, like a 30 or 45-second clip of
You
a
don't
song,
get to
maybe
you don't
a
get to see
minute.
how it comes in either.
This, you get a full length version that you can test in your software, even putting in cue points and all that stuff. And then if you like it, you can buy it.
So you almost can rent it in a way.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there's different subscription models starting at $10, going up to $70. For $10, you get 10 tracks that you can have in your reserve, basically. So you have 10 tracks that you can preview fully at any given time. If you like a track, you can buy it, and then that releases that slot for a new track that you can preview. So definitely, at least a cool idea. Who knows really if it will catch on, if enough DJs will use it, but definitely a cool idea to get full-length previews for your DJ sets. So on to discussion, I guess. Rolling Stone released top 25 DJs that rule the world, another DJ list
I know
to
it
talk
says
about.
I know it says that rule the world, but is it safe to say we can just remove that and this is pretty much their top 25 DJ list?
Well, I only put the top 5 here, but there's probably like a third of the list that are actually DJs that we've never heard of, a lot of us.
Oh, really?
And I know you didn't see the entire list yet, but the top 5, we'll list those off and then we can talk from there. But number 1 is Tiesto.
DJ Douchebag has never heard of Tiesto.
Number 2, Swedish House Mafia. Number 3, Avicii. Number 4, Cascade. And number 5, Diplo. So this is basically saying the 25 most influential DJs, I think, in the world. There's a couple on here that are local to like the London scene and different scenes around the world that are really big in their area and have a lot of influence there, but aren't necessarily known globally. But obviously, these top 5, they in the last year or two, at least for sure, have had the most influence. I mean, Swedish House Mafia. If you look at the DJ Mag Top 100, the group as a total, Swedish House Mafia came in. What'd they come in? I don't know.
I don't think the group was listed in the DJ Mag. I think it was individuals.
I think they were, but
was it?
Yeah,
Sure.
But they were individual as well. But it didn't list as high as you may think they would, probably because they're also listed individually. So I think their place in this top 5 is probably appropriate. So just another interesting list to look at and get someone else's take on who the top DJs in the world are. From over at the Direct Music Service blog, they had an article about a DJ agency scam out of London.
Basically, it's the model scam. We all heard how. Maybe scam is a strong word for the model thing, but I guess that's what its intent is.
It's pretty much a scam,
I mean, you always hear of agencies or just anyone in general telling a model that we'll make a portfolio for you, take your pictures and everything. You just got to give us money, and then boom, you'll be on your way to having a successful model career. And I guess with modeling, and of course it goes with DJing too, and I assume, I shouldn't say this is with every career because everything's different, but most things you don't want to ever pay money up front for. It's not like a class. School is different.
Yeah,
in terms of getting
certificate, diploma, degree. Of
once you're ready to do something really, and especially if it's a career, not a hobby, you plan on making money. You usually don't have to pay to get started. I mean, you could argue with DJing, you gotta buy songs and equipment, all that stuff. But in terms of going out there to get gigs, you should be getting paid for those and not paying.
Yeah,
to
you don't
get
have
gigs.
to pay to gig. Yeah. So basically, what happened was this supposedly reputable DJ agency in London was going around trying to pick up DJs for their agency. Said that they would get these DJs at least 5 gigs a month. At least £100 a month, which is $175, $200 an hour for those gigs, and they appeared to be representing some really good DJs and good venues.
This was an agency that did have a reputation too.
Yeah, it sounded like it. Yeah, so the DJs that they were signing up, they said that they had to pay £500, which is close to $1,000. for them to be represented, and then never got them gigs.
Yeah.
A couple of them showed up to one gig they were supposed to be at, and there was no event there that night, and so a bunch of them got together at this canceled gig and started putting up a fuss about everything, which is probably for the best. So yeah, I mean, this just goes to show. I mean, I've never heard about this happening in the States, but I mean, it's something to watch out for sure.
At first, my first thought was I never would have let it get this far if I was a DJ. But I thought about it. I'm not from London, which is where this took place, so I don't know the reputation of this agency. But if one of the bigger agencies that we've all heard of asked me to do a gig here, and at the end told me, "Oh, we have to have our check. This is going to take some time to get you the check, but don't worry, everything's all set," I probably wouldn't think twice about it, knowing that the reputation they have. We worked for one time, and it took a second for us to get our check, and we got it, which we knew we would get it. And
just took a while.
just took a while, but I mean, we didn't ever have any doubts we were going to get it. And so, I mean, you could see how this kind of thing could possibly happen if they kept putting it off and they never got the check. Then obviously that's a different story.
I mean, as far as DJ agencies go, you really should not be paying them to be on their roster. They should be making their money off of a percentage from the gigs that you take. So if they get you a gig for $1,000 and they take 10 or 20%, whatever it is, that's how they make their money, not by you paying them up front. So in case there's any young DJs out there who aren't familiar with that model and are looking to get into an agency, something like that, keep that in mind when you're doing that.
Anytime someone wants money up front, you kind of have to question it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this is kind of different, but think about all those ads they have on TV for like real estate things, how you can get houses for $300. You can buy a house. You ever seen those? It's always based on some, like, I think some probably weird law where one time on Earth someone was able to get a house for $300, so they're going to teach you how to do it. But it always makes you think, like, well, why are you doing a class teaching us how to do this? Why don't you just do it instead of wasting your time teaching us? Like, you think that person would just be out taking what he knows and just buying $300 houses everywhere. So if something is fishy like that, you just got to kind of question it. And same thing with the DJ thing. If they're saying they need some money to get you gigs, just be like, "It's cool, dude. Just get me the gigs. You can take your percentage right out of that."
Exactly. Yep. All right. We got a couple emails asking. Well, one was
about rock. We had another about reggae.
Yeah, some from Canada asking kind of how we go about getting tracks for Scorpion Bar, which used to be exclusively rock and now is a little lighter on the format, but still have to work a lot of rock in there.
But
so,
I think this is probably a topic that it's good that we talk about, I guess, a little in detail, and not necessarily just for rock, but for anyone who has to do a genre-specific night, whether you're playing maybe a country night somewhere, you've never done that before, rock, even reggaeton or reggae or something. I put in a lot of work to do Scorpion Bar, and I know it's different for me because it was a night that I planned on doing for a while. It wasn't just a one-time thing, and I can understand if someone is doing a one-time thing for a genre. I mean, depending on how much you're getting paid for that, there's only so much you would want to put in, so much work you'd want to put in for that. I mean, if you're getting paid $300 to do a rock night somewhere, you're not going to bust your bank to build up a library of music. I mean, how much work would you seriously, unless you thought it was going to lead you to more gigs, how much work would you want to put in to make $300? I mean, you still want to do a good job.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like money spent, $20 or less.
Yeah. As far as
definitely, and I mean,
as far as research for that night, I mean, if it's a one-time,
hour or two, maybe.
Yeah.
You know? I'd say that's reasonable. That's a reasonable expectation. But
if you, for those of you, this is more for those of you who are doing a bar that just opened up and they want this certain type of format and they're having you as their resident.
Yeah, and you got to show up, and obviously you intend to have that gig for a while. Being the resident, you want to be the resident for a while. You don't want them to find some other DJs. So you really do have to do your research, put your time in, and
So
invest a little bit. You got to put that time and money in up front, just like we were talking about, not doing with agencies. You got to do that a little bit with your music collection and research for this. So
for me, this started before I even did Scorpion Bar. I was doing another rock. I was doing a rock floor at a club called The Palace, which you did the club room a couple times there.
Yep.
When I was told I was going to start doing it, I was pretty much almost starting from scratch as far as rock goes. I never really listened to rock when I was younger. I kind of avoided it like the plague. And my class song was Wonderwall when I was in high school, and I probably couldn't even sing 2 lines of that song back then. I did get a little bit better with the rock just because we were already in the mashup age, so I learned the basics, I guess. I shouldn't say I was starting from scratch. I mean, I was starting to learn the 80s stuff, like Outfield, Jesse's Girl. I did know Guns N' Roses and Def Leppard from when I was younger. But in terms of playing Smashing Pumpkins stuff, that was the stuff I really had to learn. So this is what I did when I was learning rock. I wrote down a bunch of songs that I did recognize, because most of the songs, even if you're not into rock, you do recognize. I'd feel bad if someone was going to do like a reggaeton night from scratch and didn't know any of that
This was
stuff.
before Shazam too.
Yeah, this was before Shazam. But I wrote down a list of all the songs that I thought I might be able to play, and I wrote down the BPMs next to them. And Wikipedia was definitely one of my best friends, because that tells you when something came out. And
you can just look up an artist and kind of see what their catalog consists of too. A lot of times will mention their most popular songs, things like that. So
definitely. And for music, I definitely wanted mostly redrums was what I was looking for the most part. If they had good hype, that was useful too. I wanted it to sound like a club, just with all rock. So I mean, I did play. There were definitely some original songs with intros that I had to play, but I did prefer redrums to kind of keep a constant feel of the music. And I went through Crooklyn Clan, the rock section, and crack, but mostly Crooklyn, probably 5 times or so. There's like, I forget how many pages there were back then of rock, maybe 6 or 7, and there's a lot of stuff that wasn't playable, a lot of like mashups of like rap songs that never really became hits over rock beats, so I had to go through all that stuff. But I did go through it, and it was like every time I went through it, maybe if I went through it once and then a month later I go through it again, as I was learning more and more rock, the next time I would go through Crooklyn Clan, I was definitely recognizing songs that, yeah, you know what, I skipped over this one the first time, but maybe this will be good to add to my set here or there. And so every time I went through Clan, I picked up some new stuff. And I bet you if I went through it now again, I'd probably find more stuff that I could add. And of course, as I got the popular stuff down, then I started looking for more obscure stuff, because the person who emailed us was right that it is tough playing a lot of the same songs over and over again. They were very worried about that. And at Scorpion Bar, for the most part, you can't really help that. During the prime time hours, you're going to play Shook Me All Night Long. You're going to play A Sweet Child of Mine, Jesse's Girl, Outfield, Living on a Prayer, Shot Through the Heart. You're just going to have to play those pretty much every week. There's weeks where I leave out one, sometimes 2, but for the most part, I'm playing all those every week. But your opening set and your closing set, if you're playing for 4 hours like I am from 10 to 2, that's where you can really change a lot of stuff. I mean, sometimes at Scorpion Bar, I'll end with, if I'm at around 130 plus BPM, you could play Take Me Home Tonight, which sometimes some versions are over 130, like up to 133, I think. What else? Wanted, Dead or Alive is up there if you have a faster version of it. Any Way You Want It by Journey. I think there's a Homicide version that's like 140 or so. I think there's I know I'm missing it. Summer 69 is in the upper 130s as well. So that's a good set to end with. And even if you have extra time from 130, if you get to 140, then you can kind of mix in Bohemian Rhapsody if you want to go back to halftime. And what else? What's that? Rocktacon did a remix of one of the songs. That's I want to say 75 or 150. Brown Eyed Girl.
Yeah, it was right there.
Brown Eyed Girl, and then sometimes from Brown Eyed Girl I can mix Bob Marley. What's that called? Why can't I think of that song? Three Little Birds.
Yeah.
So that's an example of one of my closing sets. Or sometimes I could get down to the lower BPM, like 90-ish BPM, and then I'll have a set where if I'm ending with old school, I could play Free Fallin'. What's that Whitesnake song? Here I Go Again. Those are two low 90s songs. If I'm playing in the low 90s and I want to play more recent stuff or stuff from the 90s, I can play Semisonic. Closing Time is obviously a good song. And maybe before that, I could play Sublime, What I Got is a good kind of closing song. So those are all different closing sets I have. And I have a lot of different opening sets as well. But there's definitely a lot of music out there, and if you're getting used to it, the more and more you dig, which you have to do, you'll start finding obscure stuff to use.
And it's also about not just finding one particular remix of a song. It's about, if you're going to be doing this genre-specific night for a long period of time, you want to find multiple remixes of the same song. So even if you're on Crooklyn Clan and you found one specific remix of a song and you come across another one, you want to skip it instinctively probably, but you might not want to do that. You might want to get both of them and then swap out which one you're playing just to switch it up a little bit. Even though it's the same song, it's a different remix, has a different feel, maybe you can fit it into a different part of your set.
That's very good advice just in general for DJing, especially for if you have residencies in any kind of music, you always want to have different remixes. And I know, think about how many Wonderwall remixes you have. Like, I have that house version. Who did that? Was it Virtual?
Where's that DJs from Mars one?
DJs from Mars one. That's a dope one. A dope mashup version. DJ Rekka has a dope one.
I play the Lip Gloss one the most.
That's a DJ Rekka one, I think. John Ferrugio, I think, did a Wonderwall Party version, which has some good hype.
Diggs did the Jock and Wonderwall.
That's right.
Something like that. Yeah.
So I mean,
with the rock especially. We've talked about this a few times. It really is difficult not to play the same hits because those hits are pretty much the only ones that are going to guarantee people are going to be out there dancing. And unless you have a really special venue or crowd, it's hard to get too eclectic during prime time. So watch out for that. But
you got to put in time.
I know when you were doing all this stuff, getting a lot of these songs, you specifically focused on re-drums and making sure they were beefed up versions of songs. I personally wasn't as worried about that when I was putting together my collection. I play a lot of originals even. So, and if you're not finding enough on Crooklyn Clan and some other sites, Barbangers probably has some great stuff. Direct Music Service has a really good back catalog of rock and 80s. And 90s, and really good back catalog in general. So if those aren't filling everything, I would definitely suggest going on Amazon probably, and you're buying some tracks off there or some other service similar to that, and figuring out a way to add those in. And you could even try doing your own re-drums, start learning that whole process, which can definitely be helpful. But at least you'll have some extra songs you can add in there.
And definitely ask your DJ friends as well. I know JD gave me a lot of good stuff too, and I didn't feel bad asking him because I knew I was putting in the work myself. As long as you're putting in the work yourself, there's nothing wrong with asking other people too. Just don't just sit on your ass and ask, hoping that people are going to give you everything you need to do the night.
Yeah, we both helped each other out a lot with the rock stuff. So yeah, as long as it's an even trade, and you're not just asking for nothing.
And I know, if you could find DJ sets, a good way to prepare for rock would be to listen maybe to some of the people who are doing mashups like Girl Talk and those kind of people, or even Victor Menego. He did a lot of mashup stuff like that with obscure kind of rock beats, and you might recognize a riff or something, and you can find out what beat he used for that, and then find out the original song.
Also, you would listen to the rock radio station quite a lot.
Oh, you know
right?
what? That actually helped me out a lot too. Listening to the local rock station and then going on their website and finding what time the song was, and I did do that a lot.
Yeah, looking at the playlist on their website, things like that, and obviously certain genres are a little more difficult than others. Like I think rock is probably one of the most difficult to really get into because there's not a lot of guys or DJs in general out there spinning specifically rock. So it's hard to go out there and say, hey, I'm going to kind of listen to this DJ and kind of see what they're doing, kind of just get a feel for it. If you're trying to get into reggae or something like that, I know someone emailed us about that. And there's a good amount of DJs out there that are spinning reggae sets, more than rock sets, I would imagine. So that's definitely another way. Just go out there, listen to other local DJs, travel to a major city near you and check out some DJs spinning in that genre and just kind of see how the dance floor reacts to the songs they're playing, what songs are most popular. And
Other Side by Red Hot Chili Peppers, I didn't realize how big a song that was until I heard Riz play it at Shrine, and I heard everyone singing along, and that really blew me away. That was a song I never would have expected to be as big as it was.
Yeah.
So you find out different stuff
You'll get
like
those
that.
little surprises like that when you go and watch other DJs. So definitely very helpful. And also, I mean, unfortunately, Bezo isn't around anymore, but that was a great place you could look up a specific genre and listen to different DJ mixes in that specific genre. So
Well, Bezo's still around, but just not like it was before.
So I mean, maybe Mixcloud, SoundCloud probably has DJ mixes for specific genres. So those would be other places you could look to do some research. But it does take a lot of research. You really do have to put the time in and really learn the genre. And
I can't believe I didn't mention the radio thing. I'm glad you remember that, because that's good for any genre. I mean, there's reggae shows out there. I'm sure Hot 97 still has theirs. I think Sunday nights with Bobby Condors and Jabba. That was a good advertisement for them. I'm sure all those stations, they all stream. So if you wanted to hear it, you could.
Everything's on the internet these days, so the research can be done.
I just actually had to do. I was helping someone out at a wedding, and they wanted a lot of country. So I just kind of, again, this was like a one-shot thing. So I wanted to put in a little bit of work. So the first thing I did was I checked for all DJ Skills country mixes. I made sure I had everything. And even though I know Skills, I still bought some from Crook and Clan, even though probably because I was confused by Dropbox. I didn't know how to get everything from there.
Always good to support, though. Support the homies.
Exactly. And I went through, I found out what certain country songs were and typed them into all the different sites I'm at to search, see what mixes came up. So I was able to, in about a couple hours, I developed a decent country collection. You know what also is good is if you're starting from scratch with rock, reggae, country, whatever, you can always Google the top 100 rock songs, top 100 reggaeton songs, and there's always lists that'll come up. Yeah. That's a good way to do it too.
Cool. Well,
I think we covered that topic pretty good.
I think so. Better than most, probably.
I think in more detail than anyone wanted us to.
If you're still watching now, thank you.
Yes.
But I think that pretty much sums it up for this week's weekend recap. Definitely hope everybody has a fun and safe Thanksgiving holiday. Maybe some good parties on Wednesday night before the holiday.
I can't believe you showed that picture of me.
And after the weekend. Hey. You want me to show the other picture?
There's another picture?
Could show him the picture, the breakdancing picture.
Oh, that one. That's not a real picture. That's like a joke picture.
We'll just leave that for the lore of Remix Report. All right. If you have any comments or questions, of course, you can comment right down there.
Or you can email us, remixreport@gmail.com.
Remixreport.com